All right, good morning everyone. Richard here and welcome to the Ninjacators Morning Bell. Good golly, it's already 31st of October, last day of October. 2 more months to go and this year will be done and dusted. Pretty crazy stuff. In any case, let's have a quick look at today's economic calendar. Not much happening out of the US. I think the main events would be Wednesday's FOMC statement, as well as the federal funds rate, and then the FOMC press conference at 2 p.m. and then 2:30 p.m. EST. So that might be a biggie for this week, followed by the job numbers on Friday. That's also at 8:30 a.m. EST. So yeah, potentially volatile Wednesday and Friday ahead for us. Might not have too much happening today. Looks pretty quiet on the economic calendar. Anyway, let's quickly look at where we stand in the markets, the analysis side of things. Where we left off on Friday last week, I was saying that it was a potential resistance area, and we got that from the volume profile that I drew from the highs in August, or that lower high in August, to this low on the 13th of October. So we had a high volume node over here, price moved into it, retested this lower green median line, and I think it was, when was it, Thursday? I was saying that it looks like it's going to break and move lower. But at that stage, we also had this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of wave format. Still assuming that this is a corrective bounce to the upside, might potentially be over already. I'll show you some of the symmetry that I'm seeing between actual ranges in this move to the upside, as well as the price pattern, which I said could potentially be an ABCX, ABC, i.e. a double zigzag. So just above this zone, we also have this green dash line sloping to the downside of the same pitchfork that's been tracking prices to the downside since we actually started this service. I think it was already in June, right? So still have that pitchfork setting on my chart. It's a shift pitchfork setting. Like I said, this downward sloping median line, the dash one, around about 3,953, call it 3,950, which price might still extend into. We also have this high volume node here on the volume profile just above that area. So sort of moved into this low volume node, and it currently looks like we're retesting this previous volume node that price eventually broke upwards. So the actual projection that price could move higher, that did work out. Let's quickly look at the 4-hour, and I just want to show you what it is I'm actually seeing here. Assuming that this is still corrective, i.e. retracing a decent part of that previous decline. All right, so since these lows on the, when was this, the 13th? Yeah, we had this 1, 2, 3 wave move. Now, assuming that we are dealing with correction, that could have been the end of a nice ABC. Price moved lower, it held support and moved up, and at that stage we said we all of a sudden have now 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5 wave movement. We even had momentum divergence between two highs right into that high volume node, and we had a rejection to the downside. Now, as soon as you start seeing a 5 wave move, assuming that you are busy with a corrective move, then the next sort of most common, I won't say most common, the most common corrective pattern is just an ABC or single zigzag. But my next two pattern would be then a double zigzag, which would trace out as an ABC and labeled WX, and then another ABC to the upside. All right, very interesting here is that if this was an ABC, a nice 3-wave move, and you go from the low here with your fib extension tool to that high to this low, then the potential secondary ABC already traced out the same range as the first potential ABC, if it makes sense. All right, so that could potentially have been the high, although price is sort of like hovering in the middle of nowhere. It has not reached that dash median line that I've told you about at 3,950, 3,953. So there's still a bit of room in my opinion, for price to potentially go a little bit higher. If this is the C wave of the second ABC of the WXY pattern, maybe I should just label this for you guys. I'm not even going to use that Elliott wave labeling thing because it really sucks. ABC for a W, X, and potentially a Y wave, right? That's either completed or might be very close to completion, right up there. Even if this is a small little C wave of your secondary A, B, C, then we potentially had a 1, 2, a 3, a 4 with a little bit more of a move higher to complete that secondary ABC in the final Y wave. And then we see a drop to the downside. Now that's one interpretation that I'm sticking to. It sort of followed my thinking of how these patterns tend to develop and where they tend to end at areas of market geometry. We can even go and use a pitchfork from the beginning point to where you believe you had your W wave to your X wave, again using a shift pitchfork, and you'll see that price has been testing this upper median line and failed to, except for in this instance it's closed above it, but it's finding resistance is what I pretty much want to say at that upper median line. So potentially over, but I still think there is some space still left to the upside towards the 3,950 level. All right. What's also interesting here, before we switch over to the NQ, is that if this was a W wave, how did I measure this? I think we need to go back to the daily to do that properly. Just bear with me. Yeah, let's open that up again. Then the time it took for this first ABC and then the secondary ABC. Oh gosh, I'm doing this wrong now. Should be doing this. It's now sort of traveled the same sort of time. All right, so it's got all the markings of a potential WXY pattern, double zigzag, but like I said, still think we can head a little bit higher to 3,950. If price clears it and breaks us to the upside, and I'm going to start thinking that we're potentially seeing here, because the other thing that works in 5 waves like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves, sorry, is a potential leading diagonal. And then I'm still going to view this as corrective, meaning that that could be a leading diagonal for an A. Let me just take that snap mode off. Then a B of some sort, maybe a zigzag, and then get another move higher, and then get a decline still, because I'm still viewing all of this current bounce as a potential corrective pattern. So it's all about how price will react within this little zone, and if it does move higher, how it will react at that upper zones up there. All right, so I think this whole entire move will be over if we start breaking below 3,675 again. If that does happen, then I think, as I've been saying for a while now, that the potential last wave lower of a very large, very complex, also ABCX, ABC to complete, maybe as low as 3,136 to the upper end of 3,324 before Y waves ends, and then get that much higher move to the upside again, potentially taking the ES back to new all-time highs. Well, the guys with the year nearly ending, or nearly over, should I say, this might take still quite a considerable amount of time, potentially even for the remainder of this month, this month, next month, or this year, before this potential Y wave ends, if that is the case. But thus far, projections still working really well. I would have to reconsider my entire count to the downside if price would then break above these highs that were set in August. But I mean, if that does happen, then the possibility is that we just had a very short Y wave and that has already ended over here, and the price is moving back up to new highs for the year. Okay, so that's my thinking. Let's move over to the NQ. Hopefully it doesn't lag again like it always does. It is again. So on the NQ, we had this little zone where price moved back to the upside. Potentially here also an A, B, C, X, I don't know, A expanded flat B with another C wave to follow. It sort of reached the 11,505 to 11,662 level again, where we had this previous area of resistance. It already acted as resistance once, twice, and it's right into it again. So a lot of overhead resistance on the NQ, not so much on the ES, but if you look at all those big tech companies, pretty bad earnings that they reported, then you know the NQ has been a bit more weaker than the ES. That being said, also still potential upside here. A break above this resistance zone where the upper limit's at 11,662-ish, then I think we can easily see a move to around 11,845, where the next area of resistance would be. And this is also just a resistance line, or in the shape of a market geometry line, which has been on my charts also for quite a substantial amount of time, and is exactly where we had this low in June, where it touched it and we had to move back to the upside. And it might act this time as resistance like it has previously also here in the beginning of October. Right, let's move over to crude oil. All right, quick recap on crude oil. We've had this 5-wave sequence into an area of confluence between a lower channel line and a lower median line, where this green zone is. We had a very strong reaction to the upside, and price again pulled straight into an area that we marked previously, or not marked previously. It's the center channel line, this blue dashed line running to the upside here. Touched it, and we had a move back to the downside. We also then said potential support might step in around 81.69 to 82.50. Price did move into there beautifully and started moving back upwards again. And it was at this stage that we then drew a shift pitchfork to see if where we might find angular resistance on the way back up again. Assuming that we still have, and I'm going to use this silly Elliott wave tool now, that was potentially an A, this is potentially B, and that we could still be dealing with a C wave before crude oil finds resistance and then reverses lower. But like I said, Friday we drew this shift pitchfork, and as you can see, I said price would need to break above the center line, and this is actually not on Friday, this was on Thursday, right? Yeah, Friday, Thursday. The price would need to close above the center line, and as you can see, it now reacted as resistance. So above today's current candle, resistance again at that center median line. Should price reverse back up again at around about 89, 85, let's call it 90 plus or minus. So still think that there's a partner leg on the way back up here, although it is getting very zigzaggy in nature. Maybe it will trace out a C wave if it does head higher, obviously, because that is a line in the sand for me. Price needs to close above there on the daily. Then we got this sort of 3-wave move back to the upside. Now there's two ways this can play out and still be bullish. Is that this was potentially an A, and now we got an A, B, C for a B. It's going to give a much deeper retracement and then get a move back up, if that makes sense. But yeah, support currently around 85.80, where we have this dash median line of a long-term pitchfork. Price is also, you know, been testing this. It undershot this upsloping 50% dash median line of this new pitchfork we drew on Friday. But if it does find support there, and we see some reversal to upside, I think there's a good chance that we'll break the 89 or 90 level. Alright, still looks a little bit zigzaggy in my opinion, and this is actually where I lost my chain of thought a little bit earlier. Maybe we're doing something like this, and then we get a decline. Because in the big picture, before I look at gold, this 5-wave sequence here still looks like some sort of a leading diagonal rather than an ending diagonal, meaning that we were expecting some sort of a bounce to retrace a decent part of this drop that started in, when was it, June, to these lows in September. We've only really reached a 38.2. Okay, so we get a partner leg that mimics that, assuming that this is a higher low, then we could potentially see a leg if it just pulls out another ABC that could extend above this 50% level. But above that, current prices, or above the previous highs that were set on the 10th of October, we do have this center median line here, which currently is around about 94-ish, with that 50% retracement at 95.82-ish. That's why I marked that area there. Could potentially act as resistance, potentially then halt a move to the upside, and then mean that the next move to the downside could be quite aggressive in nature. But yeah, you know, corrective patterns can take many shapes and forms. That's why it's always best to focus on the most common ones, like your single zigzags. If that doesn't work out, then double zigzags, and perhaps even then you could, if price starts running sideways, it could potentially be an indication that some sort of triangle is underway instead. But again, getting a little bit ahead of myself, these are the levels I'm currently looking at. It's tested support this morning or during the course of today already. I can't remember if this was during electronic trading session. But again, price would need to clear the 89, 85 to 90 level for me to get confident that the next wave is really underway to the upside. Otherwise, some other sort of corrective pattern might be underway rather than just an ABC. Or perhaps that this was just a short-lived one, and now we're going to see one hell of a strong move back to the downside. So let's see how things plan out by Wednesday and see where price is. Would it hold above the support level, or would it actually break above the 90 level? Okay, this brings us to gold. Where's gold? There we go. Actually, if you guys don't mind dropping a comment there in the chat box, sorry, just while I'm opening this. I've got a white chart open here. I do understand that these dark charts might, you know, I don't know, not really show the market geometry that nicely. Might just be too many lines for your liking. But I do like my dark backgrounds, just because it's a little bit easier on my eyes. But I think a good practice would be, and I've done this just earlier before today's session, is to basically just maybe draw the pattern I'm thinking is underway in the bigger picture. In this case, weekly, with a white background, so you can a little bit clearer see what it is that I'm seeing in the bigger picture. So if that's something that you want me to do with the other markets, and let me know and I will do that. Otherwise, yeah, I'll just continue on the dark charts. I do prefer doing the analysis on there, but maybe it's just a good thing if you do watch this video, maybe the recording afterwards, to take a screenshot of this, and if you want to go and duplicate these drawings on your own charts, then you might do so if that is what you would like to do. Right, so gold, still thinking that we have a 3, a 3, a 5, i.e. what we call a expanded flat, which you also label as an A, a B, a C. It's just a variation of a zigzag. Your C wave, though, travels in 5 waves, and your A and your B waves travels in 3 waves, and you can clearly see how complex this has been. I still think we had a WXY, double zigzag for an A. We had an A, triangle B, and a C for the B wave of this entire move. Don't get confused now. An A, a B, and all these 3 waves in between, which is very complex 3-wave moves. And then a 5-wave move to the downside, which we at some stage thought the price created that 5-wave move over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that was in July. Price did not move much higher and dipped lower again, so I'm still thinking that we're potentially still seeing a 5th wave or 5-wave movement that's incomplete, where the 5th wave of the C wave is tracing out as an ending diagonal. So a 1, a 2, short 3rd wave, not uncommon for commodities, a 4th wave, and then now this 5-wave movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now potentially we need to see a last final 5th wave move lower to potentially end this entire pattern, and then we'll see a move to the upside in gold. Also nice to know where we are on the bigger picture. If we run a FIB retracement from this level, let me just get the right high there. There we go. Then we've reached a 61.8 FIB retracement level already. This was in end of September, and then also recently, right? I think what was it, last week or a couple of weeks back. So previously 50% held nicely. Even the 38.2% had a little bounce. 50% 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times before price actually broke below it, and price recently, and also in, when did I say, in September, reached that golden ratio at 61.8. But I don't think the pattern is done just yet, moving lower. So back to my black charts. Still think that that 5th wave of the final ending diagonal bottoming potential pattern still underway, could potentially still move all the way to 1,587. I should actually update that number a little bit. Right into this green box that I drew, and at the lower end 1,571-ish for potential support. Again, this might have been the actual end of that 5th wave of the ending diagonal, but the only thing that will get me excited to tell me really that an ending diagonal has ended if price would move up, break above this upper channel line, this orange, or sorry, yellow one. No, it is orange, sorry, I'm also going colorblind here. And that is currently lying at, let me just get that proper, and I need to, yeah, around 1,693. But the real thing for me to tell that this potential correction that I'm still thinking is a expanded flat has ended if price would break these previous highs. Breaking previous market structure, in this case a lower high, and that's around about 1732 to 1743. Price clears that, then I'll get excited and start thinking about taking, I'm going to say, bullish setups with upside projections. So I really need to see price actually break previous structure. But like I said, still think that there's potential that price could still move even lower. Okay, how are we doing for time there? Right, we still have a few minutes. Let's look at the dollar index. So a quick recap there. The dollar index, this is now on a weekly. I've got end of day data for this, not live data. Price reached an upper channel line beautifully around 114.46, and we had to drop to the downside. But price has not yet reached the upper channel line or median line of an upward sloping standard pitchfork, which makes me think that that's still a possibility. I'm still viewing this move to the downside as potentially short-term corrective in nature. Who knows? By Wednesday, we'll probably have a clearing decision. As indication, or know what the Fed's up to with the next interest rate hikes, and that will most likely influence the dollar index, gold as well. So if gold's still going to move a little bit lower, like I think, then this might have just been a small ABC corrective move, with price then moving back into the zone, which I now have to update a little bit. and then reach that upper median line, and then we get a much larger decline to the downside. So that's also a possibility, and I think we'll probably have a really good idea, like I said, what the Fed's going to be up to. Are we going to read into the minutes, the federal front rate decision, all that sort of stuff. So for the time being, should the dollar index move lower, then I think strong resistance around 106.96 sort of level, which is where we have the center channel line over here, or upper channel line, and the center median line of that green pitchfork, the standard one I showed you, where price could potentially move into, and then actually move upwards for potentially the remainder of this year, maybe into the first quarter of next year. So that's what I'm seeing on the dollar index, gold, crude oil, NQ, and the ES. Guys, you got any questions, please let me know. If not, then I'll call it a day here, and then I'll be back again on Wednesday, same time. Again, as always, if you miss any of these sessions, you can go catch up on the Ninjacators YouTube channel. The recording is normally available there, well, pretty instantaneously, because I'm recording live. But there's also the description in the comment section there, so do go check that out if you do miss any of these sessions. All right, if there's no more questions, then like I said, call it a day, and I'll be back on Wednesday. All right, cool guys, thanks very much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Those that celebrate Halloween, I hope you have a lot of fun. And yeah, have a lucky one. Until next time, take care and goodbye.